4 games in a row have been won by the Indiana Fever. A good victory for the Indiana Fever, with 4 consecutive victories. The Fever are now 4 games above 500. This victory is difficult. Huge victory. Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings were just thrashed by the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever defeated the Dallas Wings, Paige Bueckers, and Deja Carrington. Nor was Caitlin Clark on the floor. Fever handled business. They are beginning to amass victories. While they wait for Caitlin Clark to recover, they are beginning to establish themselves as a competitive team. The message is evident from the way her squad dominated without her. The league isn't prepared for the future. Put your 100% support for Caitlin Clark in the comments section right now if you still think she is the league's face. In the WNBA, Clark has solidified her position as the most well-known player. Some gamers do more than simply play the game, they alter it. Among the players is Caitlin Clark. The recent events in Dallas were not an isolated incident. It was a declaration. This game was a little bit careless. Dallas, however, was making an effort to stay up. They were attempting to stay ahead. The Indiana Fever's victory over the Dallas Wings wasn't the only one. From the first tip to the last buzzer, they disassembled them. They accomplished this without even having their starlet, Caitlin Clark, wear a suit. That says a lot on its own. The Indiana Fever are now in 6th place. After winning 4 straight games and moving up the standings. Seed, we are still battling for a home playoff berth. We are only 1 game out of 4th place. 2 youthful up-and-coming forces were to square off in this matchup. With Paige Bueckers, the Wings without Caitlin, the Fever held firm. But one side went to battle and the other gave way under duress. Indiana stars performed, their defense roared, and their bench exploded. Let's discuss dominance. Indiana secured their 4th consecutive victory to improve to 16-12. Win repeatedly and rise to the top 500 without Clark. With 4 consecutive victories, the Fever are now 4 games above 500. Over the past 2 years, the Tide has had the longest winning streak. At 8-21, the Wings are in ruins and appear to be totally lost. Tonight, the Indiana Fever achieved a much-needed victory. You know, following this game, Dallas is now, I think, 8-21. Their confidence was destroyed, their rhythm was off, and their body language was flat. When a team is hit in the mouth and is unsure of how to react, it is what occurs. It's possible. That Paige Bueckers scored 22 points. Man, Paige is a beast. 7 out of 14, she had a 50% floor shot. Out of 3, all of 1. Well, 22 points, 4 assists, 4 free throws, and 8 points bounces back. She will continue to be an excellent player for a very long time. However, don't be fooled by the box score. That's how Paige Bueckers is. Paige Bueckers was the main one on the opposite side who was going nuts. Had 2 steals, 4 assists, and 22 points. She just couldn't be stopped. She had just gotten off the midi. In the 4th quarter, she vanished entirely. In the 4th quarter, she failed to appear. The Fever have now defeated her 3 times in a row. And it's obvious that the moment grows too large. Despite having a favorable whistle and fictitious foul calls, Paige Bueckers is a very unique player with a very unique whistle. She attempted a 3-pointer but was fouled. There was no foul, a ghost was one of them. In fact, one shedded receive a foul. She was not a leader, she was unable to motivate her troops. The heat was too much for her. Indiana stars, meanwhile, flourished under duress. Mitchell Kelsey Wassenroll Linting, losing by 23 points. Man, Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell Kelsey, 23 points. Not too awful. Making crucial shots. On the 9th of 19th, Kelsey Pistol Mitchell attended the celebration. 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and 23 points. Kelsey Mitchell made a significant impression, as if she had scored 23 points. She hit a tremendous dagger there, near the conclusion of the game. But that's about all I can recall her accomplishing, and tinkering with a fire that was simply too strong for Paige. Kelsey. Mitchell is consistently dependable. 23 points. The majority of her threes tonight came from inbound plays. According to her, the moment did not frighten her. It belonged to her. That is how being a leader differs from being a scorer. Natasha Howard and Alia Boston dominated the interior. They each accrued double-doubles. Alia was excellent. Like another double-double from Alia. Boston scored 11 points and pulled down 11 rebounds. Alia Boston played well. 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 12 points, and 5 turnovers and 5 steals. Howard finished with an incredible 16 rebounds and 11 points. They punished the wings for each missed shot and cleaned the glass like machines. Tonight, Alia Boston performed admirably. Double for each of them, doubles. We had numerous second chance opportunities because Tosh was so good at hauling down offensive rebounds. Dallas was unable to halt the bleeding. Role players even took the initiative. The team was energized by hustle plays from Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. Sophie Cunningham received it too, even though she had 6. Man, the defense looked great. Looked like a great defense. They were working hard. They were fighting Lexi in particular. Lexi Hall was doing a fantastic job. From a distance, Ari McDonald set Dallas on fire. Man, Ari and Kelsey. They must perform. Amon, you did a better job of locating the open man at the periphery. You had Sophie open so many times. On numerous occasions, you had Lexi completely exposed. And then Chloe Bai entered the game and made consecutive three-pointers. That ended the game. Chloe Bai was substituted out after making 2 threes in a row. This was a complete team victory. Fearless, violent, and aggressive. What makes this so unique is that it was a team effort. The Fever net only prevailed, but also revealed Dallas. At the moment, the Indiana Fever's greatest strength is their ability to just thread water. They gave the impression that Paige Bueckers was a gifted but shy scorer who was unable to lead her team in crucial situations. They send out a message to the league as a whole. Even in Caitlin's absence, this squad remains formidable. Here's the real kicker, though. Imagine Caitlin Clark on this team. What's the point if they're already ruining the wings and making Paige look foolish without her? What will occur when she returns to the court? It was dominance. Simple and straightforward. They completed it and, well, they killed it. Completely destroyed in this game. As their future stars saw the game slip through her fingers, the Dallas Wings were crushed in their own home. When Caitlin Clark is not playing, the Indiana Fever are presently up 500. This was again another excellent victory. If domination was the focus of the first half of this duel, depth, firepower, and resiliency were the focus of the second. Because the way the Indiana Fever supporting cast stepped up and totally outscored Paige Bueckers' Dallas Wings without requiring a single second of Caitlin Clark's genius. And Dallas finds that upsetting. The Fever didn't rely solely on a hot shooter or a fortunate run to win. They let their bench unload, attacked from all directions, and revealed vulnerabilities. Despite not playing, Caitlin's leadership, influence, and standards were evident throughout the game. First up is Ari McDonald, who had been erratic earlier. In the season, in opposition to the Wings, she became a flamethrower. 15 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 out of 6 long-range shots. You know what? Ari McDonald was 4 out of 6 from 3. 15 points, 6 assists, 4 of 6 from 3, and bounces back. 6 turnovers were made by her. She performed with grace, speed, and accuracy. She confidently assumed control of the attack. Whenever Dallas appeared ready to rally, McDonald replied with a drive-in dish or a dagger 3. She appeared unafraid. She resembled Caitlin, which is even more telling. Her aggressiveness, court vision, and tempo were similar too. What Clark contributes to the group? It's not a coincidence. It's the result of performing below Caitlin's level all year long. Then there's Chloe, by the unexpected X factor. Despite playing only 6 minutes. She made 2 of 3 shots during that time. You need that stretch floor, and Chloe Bai was 2 of 3 from 3. She played for just 6 minutes. Ice in her veins, splashing shoots. For her, the moment wasn't too big. It was not a lucky shot. They lacked empathy. What action did Stephanie White take? She benched her and pulled her. The coach sat her when BBY gave the Fever a spark, possibly the knockout punch. Coaching malpractice is what that is. You came out and did the job, Stephanie White. For what reason did we remove Bai from the game? However, the rotation in this game was a little disorganized. However, it's still true that Bai harmed Dallas. She punished indolent closeouts, widened the floor, and demonstrated that this Fever roster is more extensive than anyone had anticipated. Not to be overlooked is Sophie Cunningham, who played suffocating defense against Paige Bueckers despite not lighting up the scoreboard. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, Sophie the trophy, and half of the Blonde Bombers. Sophie Cunningham performed a truly amazing well done on the page. Cunningham bodied up during every cut, screen, and fake, making Paige take difficult shots. Paige's 22 points were even described by one commentator as the hardest she's had this season. Additionally, they weren't incorrect. Even though Paige had a couple phantom fouls, soft whistles, and cheap calls, it was still evident that she was locked. This time, Paige made a lot of challenging shots to score those 22 points. Sophie was down in the second half. Lexi Hull and Cunningham alternated in making her uneasy. Late in the game, Paige was hurried, irritated, and submissive. And she disappeared when her team most needed her. In the meanwhile, Kelsa Mitchell embodied everything that Paige did not. She closed, not just scored. In the fourth quarter, Mitchell made critical shots. She welcomed the occasion. When it mattered most, she persevered through the confusion and delivered. Although Mitchell rose, Paige dwindled. Kelsey Mitchell had yet another fantastic game. She is having a fantastic fourth quarter. The Caitlin Clark effect is why that contrast is significant. Mitchell has invested. It's evident that the season is learning from the finest. She's sharper, tougher, and more willing to take risks. This entire roster is changing as a result of Caitlin's infectious leadership. Additionally, don't ignore the front court. Natasha Howard and Aaliyah Boston punished the wings in addition to rebounding. Both played bully ball in the paint and recorded double-doubles. Howard pulled down 16 rebounds. Natasha Howard had 16 rebounds and 11 points, 5 assists and rebounds. You did well in your game today, Natasha Howard. 12 points and 11 rebounds were complemented by 5 assists. They built a wall together that Dallas was unable to breach. One big that can extend the floor and another that dominates the paint are essential. I wish she would just do it. Simply put, Paige and her team were outgunned. They didn't have no defensive anchor to halt the bleeding, no response to Indiana's inside presence, and no defense against the perimeter attack. Even their coach appeared powerless on the sidelines as the Wings chased shadows. This demonstrates something far more significant than a single victory, Caitlin Clark. And the others are no longer the only members of the Fever. They have deadly weapons all over the place and are a fully functional machine. Consider the same squad with all of this firepower. Then include Caitlin Clark once again in Thieveland. That threat extends beyond the playoffs. That's a candidate for the crown. Paige's record against the Fever is at 0-3. Every defeat is more severe than the last. This year's victory is about 3-0 against Paige's against the Wings, and yeah, Paige Bueckers. She was not only humbled by this game, but it also made the discrepancy between hype and performance clear. Caitlin Clark is the true face of women's basketball, and she doesn't even need to be on the court to remind you of that dot. That was just done for her by her teammates. Until the greatest of all time returns, we simply keep the ship stable. There was more to this game than just statistics. Rebounds and shooting percentages weren't the only factors. This was warfare of the mind. Paige Bueckers was heading into her own nightmare with this, because even though the scoreboard indicated that the Indiana Fever had triumphed, the reality is more shocking. Caitlin Clark didn't even participate, yet Paige was still unable to lead her squad. It wasn't a game. A collapse occurred. Paige was breaking apart with Caitlin while attempting to establish her superiority, the entire world observing. First, let's discuss the background. Pressure was building on Paige Bueckers going into this match. The national media was promoting the idea that she might have been the heir to the throne of Clark. She knows the name. She has a following. The night deal is hers. A Clarkless Fever team was up against all of that. Furthermore, what a card. She gave up. Paige scored 22 points. Yes. However, the tale alters while you watch the game. She was rescued by foul calls, particularly when a player tries to make a three-point shot. She was hardly touched by the Fever defenders. However, Paige went to the queue when the whistle blew. Dominance is not what that is. Charity is what that is. And in the fourth quarter, Paige vanished entirely despite those presents. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 8 of 8 free throws were scored by Paige Bueckers. Today, the Paige whistle was authentic. Today, Kelsey Mitchell was mediocre at best. Kelsey Mitchell appeared in the last moments. How? And why? In the fourth quarter, how is Aari McDonald outplaying you? Desperate and with her crew in ruins, she ceased leading and assaulting. She waited. In the final 5 minutes of a game, she made 1 shot. I know it ended in 10. But it felt like you had control and there were 6 points. You were in control of the game, and she just said, no, I won't shoot it. When the Wings demanded a closer look, she just wasn't there since she shrank. Contrast that with the legacy of Caitlin Clark. How many times have we witnessed her insist on getting the ball? In the last few minutes, how many full-court dimes, step-back threes, and daring drives did you see in a pinch? For Caitlin, the moment is everything. She fled from it, Paige. Paige Bueckers has greater expertise. Caitlin Clark has that dog in her. But she's a better basketball player. Additionally, if you're arguing that Paige is also a dog, that dog is a _golden retriever. It's all about that contrast. And things just got worse, because the Fever appeared to be a postseason club while Paige faltered. Calm and self-assured, they were headed by players who used to defer to Caitlin, and now they're growing without her. However, the problem is that they aren't acting in spite of her. She's the reason they're doing it. Caitlin Clark set the bar higher. She insisted on attending every team meeting, filming, and practice. More. The team now plays with her energy. Even when she is not on the floor, her competitive fervor has been absorbed by them. They've evolved into an addition to her skill set. They also made it apparent that they were supporters. Some gamers alter the game rather than merely playing it. Among the players is Caitlin Clark in Dallas. Caitlin Clark jerseys were everywhere in the stadium. For the Fever, it was like playing at home. Fans waited in queue by the tunnel to see Caitlin, despite the fact that she never set foot on the court. She was seen by reporters signing autographs for audiences. They'd appeared to be more interested in her than the game. The star of the show was Caitlin Clark. Even though Paige Bueckers was playing, that must hurt. In your own house, you are the star. For the injured superstar on the opposite bench, and the arena is humming. It goes beyond simple pressure. That is humiliation. Let's face it, there was a reason why Paige Bueckers was crying. The Indiana Fever belted Dija's ass. Carrington, the Dallas Wings, and Paige Bueckers, Fever handled everything. They are beginning. To amass victories, they're beginning to establish themselves as a competitive team. Awaiting Caitlin Clark's arrival back in good health, for this was not merely a poor game. It was a mirror. It demonstrated to her the distinction between leadership and popularity, between being feared and liked, and between potential and output. Despite not playing, Caitlin Clark's shadow was seen everywhere on the court. Her presence seemed to energize the fever. The expectation appeared to shake the wings. And Paige, she appeared overtaken by the situation. Her squad is currently 0-3 versus the Fever for a reason. Her team keeps losing in lot of game circumstances, and there's a reason for that. Analysts are already reversing the trend for a cause. Caitlin's next talk. 4 games in a row have been won by the Indiana Fever. This victory is difficult. With 4 consecutive victories, the Fever are now 4 games above 500, the largest 10-win streak, the longest in the previous 2 years. Huge victory. The Indiana Fever, well done on your victory. In actuality, there won't be another Caitlin Clark, only one. In just 1 season, she turned a lottery-bound team into a postseason contender. It was she who brought the Fever from obscurity to national headlines and packed venues. Her squad is still dominating opponents, making headlines, and improving the game despite being absent due to an injury. There was more to this triumph over Dallas than just the box score. Served as a metaphor. The league recognized that Paige wasn't prepared, that she was still unable to take over without Caitlin on the court. That perhaps the disparity is greater than people initially believed. Furthermore, if Caitlin Clark had played, Dallas's defeat would not have been the only outcome. A slaughter would have occurred. Natasha Howard, you took a tremendous step. Boston, you took care of business. Aaliyah, we needed you to be that explosive scorer. Kelsey Pistol Mitchell. Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings were brutally treated by the Indiana Fever just now. Furthermore, Caitlin Clark never set foot on the court. She has such a strong presence, leadership, influence, and standard. It permeates every win, every possession, and every teammate. It was expected of Paige to step up. Rather, she broke down. Her group disbanded, and Caitlin's team demonstrated once more that they embody her rather than only depending on her. Thus, consider what occurs when it's Caitlin Clark again. Even from the bench, they fear her if you think she's still the league's face. Clark received a perfect score in the comments due to the league's lack of readiness, and she just learned that the hard way. Paige Manor, if we have Caitlin back, we can defeat anyone. Wholesome, we are capable of defeating anyone.